It's a big, big need. And I will say that Salton Valley Transportation is known throughout the state as a model of what can be accomplished. We've done some great things. I'll share with you the rest of the board members. Tremendous amount of knowledge and intelligence there. They're all busy, that's why I'm here tonight. Other thing that I wanted to make clear is still somewhat of a misguided idea out there in the public that Solomon Valley Transportation is senior citizens bus, senior citizens transportation. No, we're public transportation. We do it all. Certainly the majority of what we do is for medical appointments. And I'm sure some of you in the room have experienced a family member who has to go to Salina Monday through Friday for chemo. Thank God we have family. But there are people here who do not have family and who do not have friends. And actually in the past said, I can't do chemotherapy, I can't do these medical appointments because I can't get there. We've experienced that in some degree with people going every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday without fail to Concordia for dialysis. But on the other hand, we also provide transportation for social gatherings. In the rare case that a upstanding citizen of Beloit would get a DUI or lose his license and can't drive, transportation, public transportation can step in there and help with that. So we're doing a lot of good things. But number one, I want to say on behalf of the board of Solomon Valley Transportation that the board appreciates the collaborative work with the city of Beloit to provide transportation to the public. And tonight we're kind of doing our annual reporting and we're here to give feedback on the services and the changes and the rate modification that has happened recently with Solomon Valley Transportation. And so Leanne Eilert is our very, very helpful secretary and has printed up some handouts that I will share with you if you want to pass those around for me, Lloyd. Of course, on the front, as you all know, no one can function without a mission statement. And so our mission statement and our sense of values, but then the real meat of the matter becomes to our board of directors. Most of you are very familiar with our history and the Department on Aging and how we got started. And the Mitchell County Hospital was very, very instrumental in getting this started. Currently, Jeremy Armstrong, who is Chief Executive Officer of Mitchell County Healthcare Systems, sits on our board. Leanne Eilert is his secretary for administration at the hospital and helps us a tremendous amount. I'm president of the Hilltop Lodge Retirement Community here in Beloit. Pat Isabel at the Beloit Medical Center is our treasurer. Tammy Kimino is our transit manager, and that's kind of a new position. She's doing a wonderful job. She's full of vigor and vitality, and she's a full-time employee and just takes care of everything. And we don't know how we functioned without her in the past. Currently, Pastor Rick Raymer from the Beloit Ministerial Alliance, the current Lutheran minister, sits on our board. Elaine Schroeder comes over from Downs. She's with the Cancer Road to Recovery and Post-Rock Cancer Society. Most of you know Jay Rao, who is our vice president. He sits on the Council on Aging, but he's also the president of our Silverhead Legislature program in Topeka. Most of you, as I say, know Stephanie Simmons, Mitchell County Regional Medical Foundation, has the intelligence to actually see into the future, I believe. Skylar Winder is a social worker here in Beloit. Courtney Murrow is with the Mitchell County Health Department. And Rick Diamond is fairly new to us. He comes on from the State Exchange Bank at Mankato. And as you know, Rick Horn is our emergency management director for the county, and brings his expertise and knowledge of what we need to do. I'm going to go too much into the history of the organization. We started in 2011. Probably the important thing there is that our vehicles then, that first year, traveled 69,000 miles and served over 4,900 people. The next year, July 12th through June 13th, we went 81,000 miles and up to 6,300 passengers. From 13 through June of 14, traveled 99,000 miles, served over 6,500 passengers. July 14th to July 15th, June of 2015, again, an increase up to 132,000 miles, served over 88,100 passengers. And now I just finished finishing our current fiscal year was July 2015 to June 2016. We have 214,774 miles. We served over 10,944 residents, or clients. And there again, the way we do that, as we're funded basically through the Department of Transportation, and their requirement is that we take a person to an eye appointment or doctor's appointment. That's one ride. When we pick them up and take them back home, that's the second ride. But that's where those numbers come from, but that is by direction of the state. On item 3 of this handout is what we just kind of went over, all of the mileage who we're taking. Certainly the most of our clients are for medical appointments. I do know a couple of years ago came to our attention that a young girl who was here in Beloit to go to our Votech school and needed to be in Salina and didn't have the means to get there, and we were able to help her. So certainly we do help younger people, and that's available. Then probably what's going on today and that you need to be aware of, and this was printed in all the local newspapers, and it's coming from Tammy, our director, and at our June meeting, we meet once a month as a board. So July 1st, Salton Valley Transportation announced as of July 17th, 2016, great modifications and changes in services due to decreases of funding and local match for our Kansas Department of Transportation grant. Salton Valley Board has redesignated services changes and rate modifications to have the least impact on riders as possible due to this unfortunate circumstances. The minimum suggested donation for a trip within the county will be $1.50 each direction, making a total round trip $3. That's used to be $1 one way, $1 back. The minimum suggested donation for a trip outside the county will be $4 each direction. In turn, the round trip suggested donation would be $8. These minimum suggested donations apply to all counties Solomon Valley Transportation provides services to. Jewell, Mitchell, and Osborne. I'm sure you're aware that we are in collaboration with those two counties. They've come to the board and asked for some assistance. They've actually lost some of their transportation, especially their senior citizens transportation, and with the help of Stephanie and some of the board members, we were able to help them write their grants. They've asked us to help them get organized. They do their own fundraising, but they need a little assistance in getting started, and they're doing a great job. It's coming along, they're helping in those counties too. We're looking at a new thing coming out of the state. Lots of things, as you know, coming out of the state currently, besides budget cuts. But one is it's called regionalization, and that's why Cammie is going to be, as a full-time employee, going to be very important to us, because we're going to have to look at ways when we're taking a client to Wichita for a medical procedure. Is there any way that somebody from Jewell or Osborne could ride in that bus or in that van and go to, we could drop them off at Salina for an appointment, pick them up, bring them back, and do this kind of thing. As sure you're all aware, that can present a lot of problems. If I need to go to Salina at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for a medical appointment, I don't want to have to leave at 9 with somebody else that has to go down to start chemotherapy or whatever. And then when I'm done with my medical appointment, I want to go get some fast food and I want to come home. So we're going to have problems, issues to deal with, but that's the new buzzword, is regionalization. With the rate increases, certainly very economical, but with Jay Rao and his position and what he does with the silver-haired legislators and talks to people, very much of what other counties, other areas are doing. If you raise your rates, even to almost to the point that you could recover your costs, ridership goes down tremendously. So this is where we put this new rate structure in, and we're going to look at it again in 6 months, see what we can do. We go out and we have stakeholders, local businesses, local friends who contribute so that we can, whatever Department of Transportation can come up with as for a grant, we can match that, and with local funds, and then we get our full funding through that. We do, of course, have many clients who have the ability to utilize Solomon Valley Transportation and maybe go to Salina 5 days a week for chemotherapy, and then when they're done with chemotherapy, they usually leave a tip. We've had very generous tips given to us on behalf of some people, but some people don't have the financial ability to do that. We don't, and again, it is against the Kansas Department of Transportation's rules and regulations. When somebody says, I need to go to Wichita, I need to go to Kansas City, we're not allowed to ask. We need to know where you're going, but we don't ask, is this medical, or is this social, or what is it, because we are going to, in our own way, give top priority to the medical appointments. So due to the funding loss in each respective county, service changes have been addressed accordingly. In Jewell County, services will be decreased to 3 days per week based on the need, with no scheduled days each week. In Osborne County, services will be decreased to 2 days per week based on the need, with no set scheduled days each week. The 3-county regional route services has been decreased to 2 days per week based on the need, with no set scheduled days each week. All service changes and rate modifications were made based on county local matching funds that were received. The Solon Valley Board appreciates all stakeholders and donors that have assisted in matching funds and will continue to raise funds to enhance services for the future. The service change modification will impact the fiscal year 2017 fiscal year. The board asks for your patience and understanding due to the shortfall in funding. Solon Valley Transportation will fundraise through fiscal year 2017 with the intent to resume service days in all counties. Asking those people. So already in Jewell County, a local client up there graciously advertised and asked for donations, and they had kind of a yard sale, a bake sale, because they want to keep that. They want to keep that transportation available to them in Jewell County also, and they raised over $1,020 in a matter of hours up there. So there are people out there that do give generously. So we're asking through partnerships like the one with the city of Beloit, we're able to better serve our population with transportation. And tonight, we ask you to continue your support to Solon Valley Transportation and take into great consideration an increase in your pledge. Our services are made possible through the generous fundings we receive from businesses and individuals to match funds we receive from the Kansas Department of Transportation and the Federal Transit Administration USC 49-5311 grant. The grant is a matching grant, so every dollar that we receive in support, we can triple. We appreciate the support of the City of Beloit in the past years and hope to see continued annual pledge support in years to come. So Rick and I stand available to answer any questions to the best of our ability.
I have a question. Historically, how much has the city given?
Typically, it's been $1,000 a year. In comparison, Mitchell County Hospital gives $5,000. Hilltop Lodge gives $4,000. Guarantee State Bank made a pledge to give $10,000 on over a period of a couple of years. Of course, our major contributor is the Mitchell County Commissioners, and also the Area Council on Aging is a big benefactor. But we have we go and we approach businesses. Anybody that we can. Banks are usually key targets, and individuals who have utilized the service in the past usually respond generously, and we have always been able to raise enough matching funds so that we get our full grant.
Harold, about the city of Osborne, do you know offhand how much?
See, they're just fairly new with us. Last year they gave, I think it was $2,000, and Tammy was at their meeting last week. She's in Jewell tonight. And Downs, a couple individuals from Downs have stepped up, and one individual, as an individual, is giving $12,000 to get it going. So it's, the decrease in funding, from the state level is worrisome. We have costs, that's another advertising, or another issue that we sometimes have. I hear from friends of mine that they assume that all of our drivers are volunteers. They're not. They're paid employees, and we maintain the vans, and of course we buy gasoline, and we have to look at that. When gasoline was $5 a gallon, that was pretty much of a budget crunch. Now, right now, we're pleased with gas prices being but the hospital maintenance crew, they help us out with routine maintenance on the vehicles. But then there's always things that need to be done. There's cell phones that need to be bought, and so we have expenses that go on, just like any other business. And you know, the cuts are tough.
What are your typical rates to Wichita, Kansas City, or places when you go there?
The same, we do the new rate structure. It used to be $1 down and
So it's
$1 back.
$4 each.
That's just a suggested donation.
Okay, but that's still the minimum, even out of the local counties. Okay.
We talked about that, and but to recoup our costs even might be sensible, but we think that we would lose some of our clientele that would not be able to do that. And as Rick said, it is, and we're required to do that, it is a minimum suggested donation. Some people, you know, throw $10 in or whatever they feel that they can afford. Other families, you know, they write out a check when they're done for $250 or whatever. But, you know, it's meeting the needs of all of the people, no matter what their financial situation is.
Matt has a question.
My question is directed more towards Jay. In years past, I know we've addressed this by the city administrator's personal allowance to spend within, what, $5,000 in that personal allowance. Is that something that you were aware of, or?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Have you budgeted in the $1,000 that we've previously done?
And I just might add, we've done 3,000 for.
Yeah.
I think it was last year, did it go up to, it went up to 3?
Yeah, we've always done 3,000. We paid it in June and paid it in this.
So.
It's a budgeted item.
It's a budget, oh, okay,
Yes,
great.
sir.
Any other questions for Harold or Rick? No other questions? You have some more?
No questions. I'll get home and watch the election return. So thank you for the opportunity to come here and discuss our transportation. And we'll be sending a copy to Mandy of what we call a pledge letter. And that's to be returned with the amount on it by October 1st of 2015. But that's not when you have to write the check. That comes later, because what we're talking about now is we're budgeting, we're doing for our next fiscal year already. So, thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Harold, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. And your board of directors for the work on that. Next item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. From the council meeting minutes and appropriations 8A and the special council meeting that we had on July 26th.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Graybon that we accept the consent agenda in its entirety. Do I have a second? Second. Any further discussion? Mandy, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Gingler,
Yes.
Ponto,
Yes.
McMillan,
Yes.
Latrell,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Audi,
Yes.
Graybon.
Yes.
Passes. Next item on the agenda this evening, we go down to the 2017 budget hearing publication. Mr. Newton, would you like to address us?
I will start off with some general comments. What you're being asked to do tonight is to approve the budget for publication. At the next meeting, on the 16th, you will have a hearing, public hearing on the budget, whether you're to adopt or amend it. And once you have that hearing, you can't increase that budget. And once the publication is made, you cannot increase the budget that you adopt tonight. It can be decreased at that time. I will make a general comment that this budget is, well, first I want to say something about Mandy. She has done an exceptional job. I have been just really impressed with her skills and ability since I've been here, and I've worked with a lot of director of finances, even in larger cities, and she is as competent and capable as any of those I've worked with, and she did a great job on the state budget as well as the departmental budgets. Having said that, I want to make a general comment about the budget that this one is unique. You're adopting a 2017 budget, but the implications of adopting that are going to affect you and the city from now on. I sent you a memo about the newly adopted budget lid, describing it. I was in a bit of disbelief as I wrote it, so I sent it to the director of the League of Municipalities and asked him to read it. And you saw his comments. He said, no, it's on the mark. Your budgets are what you do this year. If you adopt a budget that's no more than what it is this year, say 55 mils is what you had this year, you adopt that, that's what you're going to be using 5 years from now. You're freezing the mill levy and any value that grows with that mill levy will only be limited to any growth in assessed valuation as a result of residential construction in the community. Change of use from, say, residential to a commercial, you'd have added value. Or if you should annex property. Really, those are the three conditions that would add additional future value to a budget. But the mill levy will always remain the same, even though the assessed valuation may grow by some. I used an example in there of 2.3% growth over the next 5 years. So you see it doesn't grow very much each year. That's one element of it. But the new tax law or budget lid says that you can be limited if you can't comply with all the provisions in the new law. You're limited by a cost of living factor. If the cost of living goes up 1% for the year, you could increase the budget by 1%. You don't increase the mill levy, but you can increase the value of your budget by 1%. So the decision you make now is going to determine the ability of the city to finance its budgets 5 years from now and further, unless the legislature makes further changes. We proposed a budget with a 3 mil increase. And whether you want to do that is solely up to you as a governing body, of course. And you could, if you take that 3 mil increase, you pretty much have a budget that's a duplicate of what you have this year. It's pretty much a mirror image of what you're doing now, with minor fluctuations here and there. But so that's an overview of it. And I want to say I appreciate the questions that have been asked concerning the budget. And there are probably more than we can exactly go over in detail tonight, but one question that was asked that was picked up on real quickly by Councilman Luttrell was looking at the administrative budget in the general fund. He said, what's this $100,000 for? You know, it looks like a mill levy increase. And then down in item 12, he's actually covering the same item because it's a transfer from the general fund to the CIP. And the suggestion that we have made is if you're going to increase by 3 mils, transfer that money to a CIP to hold it there as a rainy day fund. Because we're not suggesting you increase the mill levy just to spend it next year. We're suggesting that you increase that levy to have a fallback fund, because you're going to get to a point where the cost of your health insurance, the cost of merit increases, the cost of employing people are all going to fall behind your ability to do it. And so that's the reason we are suggesting an increase in the mill levy. That's kind of a nasty, unpopular thing to be even suggesting. I've done 48 budgets through the years, and I've never made a habit of trying to push for a mill levy increase, and I won't this time either. But I do believe it's you need to look at the implications of what the future is, and you're not going to have the money to fund your budgets in the future. I really fear for other smaller communities in the state, particularly the western part of this state, that do not have a good tax base now. It's going to be a nail in the coffin of many of those communities, I'm afraid. As for specific questions, you may want to address some of those to Mandy, who's been working on this. There are only 4 budgets that have a mill levy. That's your general fund, your health budget, your library, and the fire equipment fund. So the rest of them are funds, either they're revenue producing funds through your utilities, or funds we get through some state monies for park and recreation, alcohol money, et cetera. And most of those are just cash forward funds where they're trying to accumulate money from year to year. That's all I'll say right now.
Okay. Lloyd, you have a question?
I do. No, never mind. I'll do Jay later.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Jay at this time on the budget?
I just want to say thank you for